So the first time I tried to commit suicide, I was, how old was I? I was just out of high school, first year in UFE, and I was already feeling pretty alone, and like mental health was pretty shot, and life was just feeling really hard. In UFE, I was taking a class that was bringing up a lot of painful feelings and memories from my past, and just making me feel really like not good mental health wise, and I was just in a really dark place, and I didn't have anybody else, so I felt like. And then my boyfriend at the time told me he was going to be moving away, far away for work, so we'd have to be we'd be splitting up. And I didn't get along good with my family at home, my mom and my stepdad, and I did not want to be at home already as it was. Hated my life to begin with, and like he was my only good thing in life. He really was, and like that's what I always thought. Like he was the best thing that ever happened to me. He was my saving grace. And then he told me he was leaving me, and I bawled and like I tried to figure out a plan, like I come with him or he stays, or like we do back and forth or something, and nothing was a doable plan for him. He just wanted things his way or the highway, and maybe that was his attempt at breaking up with me, and he should have just told me like, look, I can't be with you, and broke up with me, because I would have understood that a lot fucking more than I love you but I'm leaving you for work, for money. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'll come with you. Like, there's ways to make this work. It didn't make sense to me. And I ended up going to Walmart and buying a bottle, actually 2 bottles of pills. I bought extra strength Tylenol and extra strength Benadryl. And I also bought a bottle of vitamin water, the pink one, and I bought a super fuzzy blanket, which I don't even remember which blanket it was now, to be honest. And I got back in my car, took all my shit. I was crying at the checkout, and like nobody asked me if I was okay. Nobody stopped me or anything. Like, I'm buying 2 bottles of pills, a drink, and a big fuzzy blanket, and I'm bawling my eyes out. But nobody asked. That's okay. I mean, I don't know if it would have made a difference, but this is what it is. And I drove to a park that where we had that fight, and it was just like a nice place where I knew I could park, and I took the pills. I took 30 extra strength Tylenol, 30 extra strength Benadryl, and 20 extra strength Tylenol. I took 50 pills that evening, and I counted them out. I made sure I took 50 pills, and I got my blanket around me, and I got all comfy, and I was watching the sun. And then all of a sudden I saw these kids playing on the playground, and it just hit me, like, hey, you're never gonna get to have that. You'll never get to be a mom. You'll never have a baby. You'll never get to see them grow up. You'll never get to experience any of that if you kill yourself. But it was too late, so I didn't know what the fuck to do, and I was scared. So I called Bio, my boyfriend at the time, and I said, I made a really big mistake, and I need some help, and I don't know what the fuck to do. And he said, where are you? And I said, where you left me, like, after we fought and stuff, and you went home. I'm still there. And he said, I can barely understand you, like, what are you saying? And, like, I was probably in and out of speech because I was a little fucked up, but, like, he figured it out, I guess, from, what I did say, and he ran to the park where I was at, which was just down the block from his house, because that's where we used to hang out all the time. And he was so upset and so mad at me, but at the same time just so scared, and I could see it all over his face. He was terrified, and I was so ashamed and so embarrassed, and like I felt like such an idiot, but at the same time it was like I was just so broken, so broken. And he tried to get me to throw up the pills, but didn't have any luck. The pills wouldn't come out. I used to be bulimic, and for some reason, even though I was bulimic, I could not for this fucking one time get myself to barf. So I even tried sticking a tampon down my throat, like a clean tampon, obviously, but like extended the plastic part so that would be longer, and like shoving it down my throat. Couldn't get myself to puke, so Brett got on the front seat. So B.O. took the driver's seat, and he drove me to the hospital. And he said, we don't have to go in or anything, we're just going to go to the hospital in case anything happens. I'm like, okay, that's fine. As soon as we got there, he's like, we're going in the fucking hospital, I don't care. We're going in this hospital. I'm going to make sure you're okay. So he took me to the hospital. And yeah, I took some charcoal, whatever, and the doctors told me that I was very lucky to be alive, and that quite frankly, they're surprised I was, and not even dead. I would have been probably brain dead or turned into like some sort of a vegetable or like organ failure or some shit. Like, that's the thing about taking a bunch of pills to kill yourself. You don't always just die. Sometimes you kill other parts of your body and then you die slowly. That's the shitty part about that, which I didn't know at the time, but when you're young and you look up how the fuck do you kill yourself, until you take pills, so you do it. So you do it. But it's not the answer. So fast forward about 3 years, and I'm sure there's lots of like thoughts in between. I know there was, because I wrote a poem about it. Like, there's lots. But I worked through it, I got through it, and the hospital actually let me out that next morning. They made me call my parents, and like my dad flew home from work, and my mom came out, and like I saw my parents, and they were all pissed, and like whatever. And they were also worried about me, but like some of them more pissed than worried, some of them more worried than pissed, and like, yeah. So I got out that night, or not that night, sorry, I stayed overnight, I got out the next day. And then 2 weeks later, actually, I got kicked out of my house, my parents' house, and moved in with my baby daddy, who he wasn't at the time, but yeah, me and B.O. moved in together. I lived at his parents' house until we eventually found our own place, and then yeah, I got pregnant, and shit just kept on going on. And when I was pregnant, I felt like I had a purpose, even though I didn't feel like I could do it. Like, I didn't know if I would be good enough at it. Having my baby really did give me a life purpose, and like something I felt like I was meant to be here for. And I loved him so much from the minute I knew I was pregnant. I loved him. I was scared, but I loved him then, and I loved him when I had him. Like, he was the best thing that ever happened to me. And then me and B.O. split up, and me and Luca moved out, and eventually me and Luca moved out, and Stephen ended up, after me and B.O. split up, and me and Luca moved out, and me and Steve got together. Me and Steve moved in together, and like, well, Steve moved in with me or started staying with me or whatever it was. And like, I feel like I'm fucking this all up. Sorry.